to start off with some statistics, interesting statistics. Some that definitely are in favor of increasing activities, enforcement activities, and the others being the non-enforcement related to collisions and stuff like that that have not been occurring, so it seems. For the month of December, actually, maybe we were on par for traffic collisions. There were 30 reported traffic collisions, only 10 of which were injurious, and the injuries in the 10 collisions that were reported, only in order of gravity, only went from a complaint of pain to lacerations to maybe at the most fractured arm. Of those 10 injury-causing collisions, only one of those was actually reported DUI, and in the total 38 traffic collisions reported for December, only 6 of them were DUI related, and like I said, only one resulted in injuries, which was one single injury and one single vehicle, so more than likely it was just the driver who injured himself. Too bad. In terms of arrests, actually, it had more statistics, which would be interesting. For the actual New Year holiday, and I counted the 31st as well as the 1st, for the Agua Dulce area, adjacent area, and unincorporated streets, as well as the adjacent freeway, there were 0 traffic collisions reported on the 31st, and also 0 for the 1st. And in our whole area, and actually, let me go back. That was actually 0 DUI-related traffic collisions. So 0 for the 1st, 0 for the 31st. In the whole area, in our whole area for Newhall, which again, the boundaries are from the 138 to the 118, from Ward Road all the way to the Ventura County line. We only had 1 DUI traffic collision on the 31st, 0 on the 1st. So we were doing pretty darn good. DUI arrests for the month. There were about 11 DUI arrests. Other misdemeanor arrests, there was one related to drug paraphernalia and warrants, plus another one for public intoxication and felony arrests. We had 2 reported stolen vehicles with people arrested out of those. One on northbound 14th south of Ward, and another one at Escondido and Valley Sage. There were no other findings on top of the stolen vehicles on those, and no other incidents related to them. And one thing I wanted to say is that our area is now changing over to the new patrol vehicle. If you happen to notice on the highways nowadays, you will see a Ford Explorer with the markings of California Highway Patrol. Back in 2011, that was the last year for Ford to produce the Crown Victoria, so our department shopped around for something that would work for us, something that had the space, the capacity, the performance that we've been used to, and as it turns out, the Ford Explorer was their choice. So we're transitioning to the Ford Explorer, so you'll start seeing those around. Not that you should memorize what the headlight pattern looks like, so you recognize it from behind you, or the tail light pattern as it is in front of you, but just be aware if you see those, that would be us. That would be us, and don't call us and say, hey, there's this guy in his Ford Explorer trying to stop me. It may not be a police officer, because
what colors now we need to know?
They're still black and white. Black and white with red light bars. As we come into the new year, we've got to remember that we're still in a winter phase of the year, and although we haven't seen any rain, as was mentioned, interesting side note, I just drove down from Seattle, Washington, via the 5 over the New Year holiday, and passed by Lake Shasta, and it looks kind of like a desert up there, so things look a little grim. I hope for better things, more rain, more snow, of course, in the Sierra. So do remember that snow and ice could occur. Still gets pretty cold at night, and if there's any water in the roadway, it could freeze over. So be careful with black ice.
I don't have the official stats because our staff guy is out, and only he can run them. So it's countywide, one person, one job thing. However, officially, we had 3 calls during December. There's at least 1 burglary and 1 misdemeanor traffic offense, and the other one I'm not quite sure if it was either lost property or found property. So, as soon as I get those, then we'll figure it out. But I was out here Christmas Day and New Year's Day. It was very quiet. I waited as I went by the hardware store, but nobody was there. And I didn't see any illegal golf carts out there, anything like that. So, but sorry, but you don't have a golf cart. Never mind.
Yeah, mine's an implement of husbandry.
Yeah, I still had I did have a discussion with an individual who had an electric cart running around. Had to remind them that even though it's an electric vehicle, first of all, golf carts we know aren't allowed. However, you can't have the electric vehicle on the street with a speed limit of higher than 25 miles an hour. So they were sadly disappointed because there isn't really any street here that has a 25-mile-an-hour speed limit. So I had to tell them, sorry, you can't. So, Happy New Year.
What about a tractor?
A tractor?
Tractor's going down the road. Is that
Well,
legal? What?
I'll have to defer that. The farm implements.
They are legal. It's slow-moving vehicle equipment, equipment for construction. What they do are required to have as a
Electronic. Yeah, but they're supposed to be yield to other traffic and not, 5 or more cars pull over and don't hold them up. As long as it's a farm vehicle, it's a different But I did have, unfortunately, on New Year's and Christmas, most of the calls I were at were either Leona Valley or Little Rock, because there was only like one county vehicle on. But yeah, there was nothing out here. It was very quiet. We did have, during the holiday period, 3 rescue call-outs. And one of them was here at Vasquez, where I responded with Station 81 and our search and rescue team to go pull somebody off the top of the mountain who, I think the father's last words were, "Don't climb that if you don't think you'll be able to get down." So we climbed it. And he couldn't get down. But it's okay, we hiked up there and pulled him off and dusted him off, and everybody's happy. They weren't from the area anyway, but they were like, "Thank you. How much do we owe you?" "It's on the county. We can charge for that." Okay. Let's see, what else? Again, the winter's still here, so please, I tell everybody be careful because the weather could change tomorrow. We could get some snow up here.
Mr. Roslin, kind of reviewing my report, and I realized it just printed with all zeros. Oh, wow. So, in February, I'll let you all know what we did in 2013. Having said that, we have our aircraft, our super scoopers, I think till January 15th. Is that the date you have, Roslin? Did you say that January 15th, super scoopers? I don't have it yet. Yeah, I think it's January 15th, I don't know. But, so, Scott was talking about be careful in the snow. We got our super scoopers extended, so be careful with the fires, the Santa Anas we have. The fire on 29th, which was just a small spot, 20 by 20 spot, having Santa Anas. There were some winds that day, but nothing like the serious Santa Anas we've seen in the past. That could have been a whole different story. The one out San Francisco, that was 50 acres. We got lucky with that one because the winds were good and we had homes threatened and structure protection in place. And that just hit a natural wall and kind of helps us out, kind of on its own a little bit, if you will. By the way, there's a very nice video on our Division 3 Facebook page. Anybody on our Division 3 Facebook page? Thank you. Did you see the video? Go look at the video. It's
on it, but I don't do Facebook.
Yeah, well, go look at the video. Just click on the video on the page. Like the page for me because it helps me meet the Assistant Chief's Division 3 goals. Every time we get a like, the Fire Chief's very serious about getting people aware of what's going on in our division. So there's a very nice video a resident did who'd suffered several serious fires out there. It's really a moving video. It's very short, 2 minutes, 54 seconds. So the Division 3 Facebook page is Los Angeles County Fire Department Division 3, numeral 3, not Roman numeral 3. So check out, we post some fun information and good stories there. Anyway, so we have the copters, I think, till January 15th. Don't quote me on the date. And so just continue to be alert. The little 20 by 20 fire was, you know, as I think I communicated with all of you, accidental human-caused start, which has been dealt with the lad who got involved in that accidentally. But, you know, those are the things I could really turn. And then I know, Gary, you're probably going to talk about your resilient effort, which is solely a community effort. Thankfully, Gary's involved in that, and we're in support of. If you don't tell me, I don't know about your meetings. Rosalind just told me. So if you need my support, let me know.
Hey, we're at the meeting.
Because it is really a community effort, and it should be a community effort supported by the agencies and the cooperating folks. So I really just wanted to, you know, put some kudos in for you for that work. That's important. It's probably, I see a lot of community work and a lot of groups and a lot of training and a lot of people who want to do a lot of things, but this one really does have the credibility and the backing and the organization to produce something very real. So, you know, kudos to you guys for being involved in that.
I just have a short report for you because November, December are pretty quiet for the library, but now that it's the new year and the kids are back in school, our regular programming is resuming. So we have our new story time starting next week, and we have the garden club. They meet off-site about half the year, but January through April, they're going to be back at the library. And this month's topic is sustainable living and permaculture, and that will be this Saturday, and at 10, there's a flyer for that. The Sweetwater Vet Clinic Equine Health Series is resuming, and the topic this month is the geriatric horse. And we have a new program. We're going to do a 5-week beginning crochet class that's free, and hooks and yarn will be provided. That starts next Wednesday afternoon. And our writers group is changing their meeting days to Fridays to the second and fourth Friday from 5 p.m. till 8 p.m. and that's open to everybody and free, of course. And then regarding the collection, I've been working on expanding our large print collection, and so the new orders for that have already started to come in. We moved it from the beginning of the paperbacks to the section that used to be taken up by our books in Spanish, which I sent out to be given to other libraries that have a higher Spanish-speaking population where they'll actually get used. And our community had specifically requested large print, and so to do the collection all at once, it would be about $24,000, but since we don't have $24,000 it'll be a little bit by little bit, but already they've started coming in. And also, our friends of the library supplemented our periodical ordering, so they gave me $1,000 to add subscriptions of magazines, and those are starting to come now too. And I think I added close to 30 new titles for this year, so lots of new magazines. And we got expanded shelving for that. And just a reminder about the meeting room at the library. I've been really pushing it and promoting that service. It's something that when the library was being built, the community really wanted. So we've got the Disaster Resiliency Committee meets there. We have the Seniors Club meets there now. I've posted recently the Acton Lions Club, a Cub Scout troop. We have a Bible study, just all different things. So I wanted to always, let town council know that you're always welcome to have a meeting at our library. And if you have any other community or civic groups that you need meeting space, please talk to me. It's just about always free, and we just need to make sure the room is available, and it's just a one-page application, and It's really simple and it's a really nice space. And also, I'm working on continuing to build the relationship between the library and the Acton Agua Dulce School District and really grow the joint use agreement that was part of the grant condition when the library was built. And they're in a partnership with the Congressional Medal of Honor Foundation. And so it's a character development program, and we'll be hosting a teacher training for it in a couple of months. And then also at the end of the month, they do a video conference with recipients of the Medal of Valor. And so this time, the speaker will be coming to us out of University of Colorado. And it's a really great opportunity for the students to see these honorees, and especially now a lot of them are older, they can't travel, and so the library, another bell and whistle that your library has is we can host video conferencing. So they'll be able to come live to the students instead of watching like a DVD or something, and they'll be able to interact with the speaker. And that should be, it's either going to be January 31st or February 3rd. They're waiting for a confirmation from the speaker. And then lastly, we promoted one of our library pages to position of aide, and she's doing very well. But that means I now have an open position for a library page. And that's the only position we hire for at the branch level. It's a part-time position with no experience required. It's 20 hours a week. It's like $9.35 an hour. And ideally, I would love to have a young person, a local person, have that job. My other two pages are retirees, and so I think it would be great to have a young person, but we take what are called notes of interest. So, because there's not even an application, because you don't have to have any experience, you just have to be 16 and indicate your availability. So if you know of any fine, upstanding young people that would like a job here in town, please send them to the library to drop off a note of interest, and we'll hopefully be filling that within the next 6 weeks or so. I think that's all I have for you this time. Did you have any questions for me?
I think most of you are aware that Sheriff Baca gave his notice of resignation effective the end of January. But in that regard, there have been some things going on in the board prior to that, and one of them was a probe into the hiring practices. Again, another story that's made a lot of the papers, so that still will be followed up on. The way the process works is the board appoints an interim sheriff's chief, and it will be somebody who is not running for the position. So that should happen probably in the next 6 to 9 weeks. The supervisor has also recently called for a report on welfare fraud. Millions of dollars, lack of accountability. He asked the CEO to return at the end of January with a report on county welfare fraud. And last month, I think I told you, or the month before, the credit rating had increased for the county. Well, it's increased again. It went from AA to AA+. And basically, they cited strong budget flexibility and very strong management with strong financial policies. That's a very, very illustrious title to receive.
Good evening, everybody. Happy New Year. Mrs. Johnson, Mr. Porter, Mr. Cummings, Mr. Henry, Mr. Fosberg, Mr. Keller. First of all, I want to apologize for the October meeting. I was coming up from the Burbank airport and the mudslide came over the 5. And now I fully understand California traffic because I was actually stuck in between semis over to the right that as the cars started passing, they wouldn't let the trucks in and I was stuck in the trucks for hours, and it was something I never experienced before. So I apologize for not making that meeting, and it was quite an experience just to someone who's not used to such traffic. Tonight, My name is Michael Lafferty at Lafferty Development. This is Janine Geem at Hunsaker Consultants. She's the land planner, I'm the developer, so this is the plan that we'll be proposing. One question I'd like to ask is, are there any immediate neighbors to the proposed development in this room?
Immediate meaning
This is at the airport.
500 feet, what?
Just immediate or close or?
As far as I'm concerned, everybody in Agua Dulce is immediate.
You know what, why don't you explain exactly
Okay.
where the development is?
This is Agua Dulce Canyon Road. This is Agua Dulce Canyon Road, and here's the entrance to the airport. And the airport's down here, and this is a 70-acre parcel with 30 lots. So we are right around here currently.
And currently, this property has what on it?
Currently, that property is being farmed.
Alfalfa.
This portion of it,
Okay,
not the hill, not where the tanks are.
okay.
So the runways are right here. I wish I had my pointer. Right to the east. So that's the proposed project. I've been working on it for a long time, and that is what we're discussing tonight. I want to thank the town council members and the people who have such a passion for the area to show up and make comments or concerns. I stand up here a lot in other proposed developments, and I always enjoy the people who show up because the population of this area is a lot larger than who's here. So I have the same compassion you do for the area and the development. Just to describe the development to some degree, there are 30 lots with a 2-acre minimum. The roads layout located at the Agua Dulce Airport, as we just discussed. It's a tentative map, maybe the recorder's information, TM number 70758. And we'll refer to the map during the question period with any questions. And so any technical questions, Janine will handle as the manager, and I will handle the development questions. I'm here to represent the project to give the complete details of the proposed 30-lot development. This particular property is blessed due to an underground aquifer that leads to what I believe is the town of Agua Dulce, the lake that's underground, and the runways actually are a river if it was to ever flood, a 100-year flood. And the water that we have is on the property usable potable water, 200 plus GPM. Total water in excess of 600 GPM. For the development needs for the 30 proposed homes, we need, let's call it less than 50, it's like 43, 44. And one point that's, I've been here long enough and read enough about your town and understand that someone maybe on the hill, their well is 2 GPM, and they have more water shortages because of grain shortages. And I fully understand that there's the highs and the lows in water well pumping, and I understand that you're highly concerned about water, and that has been a concern of ours from the beginning. And I can just say that this property and those properties in this one particular area, and Mr. Henry has actually worked for the airport owner on some equipment and is aware of the water capacities that we have. Currently, our water plan Lavin. I believe it's at the state level at this point. We have proved out water yield and water quality, and that's a very long process. They're very, very technical on the requirements. It's an in-depth submittal to the state level. And I also want to talk about the conservation plan that we propose for the proposed neighborhood. Again, the 30 homes have a need of, let's call it 50 GPM, and currently there are 2 wells on an alternate property below that has a 150 GPM, a 350 GPM. We have on-site. The 350 GPM doesn't qualify because it doesn't have a seal, but we've used that for emergency, some of the fires that you've had, and emergency water that you needed for the town. And the owner of the airport has given the airport and that water to the helicopters to help put out the fires in the past. And so we have a great source of water. Then on the property we have the second well. We're using the 150 and the 50, and then there's 2 smaller wells, one that feeds the little house and one that feeds the actual airport facility. And then I'd say they're 10 to 15 GPM apiece. So the property is blessed with water, and I have compassion with those who don't have that blessing in this room for that water that this property has, and some people don't. When I talk about water conservation, when we discuss the water with our consultants, we are planning on using a plant life that's the most least needed water of plant life, but we do need to cover the grounds to avoid dust, because there, as you drive around town, you can see that there's a lot of land that is barren, and I'm sure when the winds kick up, you have dust. And so we're trying to come up with schemes. Currently it's being farmed. I know that's questioned, but we're thinking of a landscape plan, and it's not a part of this submittal. It's part of the plat submittal or the tentative map submittal process. But if I want to make one point very strong and clear, is that water conservation, even though we have all this water, and our wells replenish 90% within the permissible time, productively on all the wells, that we're not going to take advantage of that, and we are going to be not only water conservation amongst the neighborhood, but we also have plans within the house, the homes, to have within the design guidelines to conserve water through the plumbing devices. So the plant life that we've discussed is all water conservative plants, but we do want to cover, we're not going to put acres and acres of grass that water every day, but we do want to not have a dust bowl within the community.
You're from Arizona, right?
That's correct. I'm from Phoenix, Arizona, excuse me. And I'm a land developer across the country from Florida to California.
He understands yours.
So, actually in Arizona, we live in the desert and we have tons of water because of a 700-foot sand basin that goes from the mountains into Sonora, Mexico. So we actually are pumping water from the CAP into the ground, but we aren't water conservationists in Phoenix, Arizona, but we understand the value of water. So I come from the desert and I see your ground So we are in an entitlement case, which means we're entitling the rights to the property, which says we can have one home per net 2 acres. We are not here in a zoning case trying to change the land use. This is entitlement, which is a big difference than rezoning, saying that it was ag and we're going residential, or it was commercial and we're going residential, or it was residential and we're going commercial. This is entitling the property rights, and that's a specific point that I want to make. Throughout the past here, at one point I had a position, pretty hard-line position, along with the airport owner, that we were not going to permit horses on the properties. Since then, there's been comments from the council that is not, not that it's not acceptable, but if that was to happen, we might set precedents, and it's a horse community and they didn't want to set precedents, that we didn't have horses, because our feeling is an airport, airplanes and horses didn't mix. Since then, I happen to have a friend who has a horse barn and a horse facility in Phoenix, and they built a horse barn that was attached to the home, and it is a beautiful facility. It's well protected, and we've come up with design guidelines, and within the community, we are going to permit horses to keep the horse community ambiance, and with very, very specific guidelines. I don't ever see a home with a barn detached. Our design guidelines are going to be very strict on how the horse facility intermingles with the residential house. And we have walking paths and riding paths within our community. And the community is a community where we don't own the property on the south, north, east, or west. So we're self-contained, and other properties, and some of them might be in the room, own the properties around our community, all around that entire community. And so within the community, and if you have any more specific questions about those trails, Janine would be the one to answer those questions, but multiple solar plants. I'm very proud to say recently we're doing the largest facility at the Indianapolis 500, a 12 megawatt, which is basically 40,000 of these modules. It's the largest facility in the world, special facility in the world. We own and operate those facilities, and we also plan on implementing solar on all the homes as design guidelines, and also any street lighting or house lighting or common area lighting or whatever lighting is permissible, because I know you have lighting ordinances. But we will be solar powered to reduce our carbon footprint. And currently we own and operate more than 30 solar facilities. I have a gentleman who we just opened up one in Vermont. You wonder why you never put a megawatt, which is 2,000 modules, in Vermont, but it's actually only 23% less power than Arizona. And he is stuck in the vortex, and he said I-70 was like a disasterville. He's been stuck in a small town, actually no food, no gas, no nothing in Illinois for 2 days. So he really wants to get back to Arizona. I mean, 37 below doesn't mix with us, so it's probably usable. So, and besides solar, the whole thing is to reduce carbon footprint in any and every matter in the development. And I only bring up those other careers because I understand infrastructure and utilities and solar power and land development, and I kind of have an array of careers that I still do a little bit of each of them, and we really want to reduce the carbon footprint, and we have a great opportunity because of excess land never be developed, which is to the south, right in this area. And so we can do a lot of things with the solar power for our neighborhood and try to reduce each carbon footprint of each home. And if you think about it, without an air conditioning running, you have about 10 kilowatts in your home running, which is your refrigerator, some clocks, some minimal things in your home. So it's very easy to power your home. Once you turn on the AC, then of course the solar is exceeded, but for at least half the year, the solar would take care of the power.
Actually, it's interesting you should just say that. By the way, I checked a little bit. You were very open in Phoenix to changing one of your commercial projects because of community input. So I kind of want to bring that up, even though I'm not in favor yet. But I did notice you changed projects based on community input. So
On
maybe
12th Street.
Yeah, the 11-story to 5-story.
That's correct, sir.
There's a thing called Google.
Well, the reason I bring it up is this may not be a waste of our time.
Yeah, he changed the horse thing.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah. So I appreciate that right off the bat. Interestingly, you should mention that plot plan probably won't change because historically the developments that have gone in here or tried to go in here are 60 to 70, 75 max% of the land use, and you're at 87% on this. So that kind of concerned me versus open land, infrastructure.
Oh, you're talking about,
Well, 60 homes
the
at
fact
2
that we
acre,
have
30 homes at 2 acre net
on
is 60
70
acres on
acres.
70 is an 87% land use.
I think that's
Specific.
really due to, it's a very nicely shaped property.
I'm kind of not
We
looking
might
for
agree with
answers,
you.
to be honest. I'm just
Okay.
bringing stuff up because chasing answers now is a bad use of all our time. Okay, so just the first concern I have is the quantity of homes and actual use for that. We were talking about the alfalfa field, even though we haven't had rain, it's pervious land. Okay, so what gets put back in the soil when we do get rain is greater on this alfalfa than what we're gonna have with these homes. So the question, I do need an answer on this. Ballpark square footage of homes in single story or multi-story?
There'll be a mixture. There would be 1 or 2-story homes, and I would say your homes are going to average between 3,000 and 5,000 square feet.
Okay.
And they could be larger, but I would say your average.
It is what it is.
They're big pads.
My home overlooks the airport, not that I'm that close, but we're top of the hill. I like looking at the airport. The planes themselves don't bother me. And I noticed that there's no spot for planes or taxiing from your land into the airport. These people will be keeping planes at the airport? Hopefully.
They have an opportunity to buy a hangar from the airport on.
Actually, and we're still going to maintain this as an access for people that are coming through with their planes to the airport.
Coming through.
With vehicles to get to their planes. So we're not gonna tax our planes down that access road. No, I assume that.
The TSA frowns on that now. They do not like the old neighborhoods where you drive your plane to the house and you have a big garage. The TSA now, since 9/11, frowns on that, and I don't think you'll see a lot of that development. Plus, we have topography that does not permit a plane, you know.
The last two things are my concerns. Mary and a number of other people put hundreds of hours into what's called Title 22, 44, 11, 3, which is our CSD. Okay, I would expect you guys, because you said everything's in compliance, and I understand the difference between entitlements versus desires, okay?
Or
So,
rezoning.
yeah, I know, well, that's what I mean by desires, you know. So the short answer though is I would expect the review process to be consistent with our CSDs. I know if you read the CSDs, almost nothing's truly in stone. It just says park review of trails and things like that, but I would expect them to be consistent with the widths, the material, those kind of things I think are a big deal. The other part that I personally have a concern with is you ask for our support, which is a financial gain for you. Okay, you may be in love with this project, it may be your end life goal, but ultimately if it didn't make money, you wouldn't do it. Okay, my concern is personal out-of-pocket issue, which is on the small scale, this is going to add value to my land. It's going to increase the value of my house when you're done. So every year I own this house, it's 1.25% of my money being spent on it. It's an investment I can look at, but ultimately there's a small cost to me when I'm assessed again. Number two, we don't know where the water's going to go, truthfully. All these, you know, I had a house on Escondido, historically gray water. Two of my neighbors there, one just drilled a well, the other one had water truck for the first time, and we were double-digit gallons per minute before. My house over here now, a little bit different, but at the end of the day, for me to say I'm going to support your investment, and my property taxes go up, and the potential for me, the fear, I won't say potential, but fear that I'm going to spend $8,000 to $20,000 to drill a well. Each of us in here has a single property. You're putting 30 properties together with 2 to 4 wells, is what I'm hearing. So when it comes time for this water district to have a problem, you're going to spend $100,000 at the most to fix it. Okay, spread out over 30 people. You're talking, whatever it is, 30 in a house. That's basically 10% to 15% of what I'm going to spend if this affects me. So my big issue is I can't support the project unless you were to give me a promise. Billy, what you said is so much common sense. I'm going to sign a piece of paper that if you haul water in the next 3 years, because you've never hauled water, I'll drill your well 500 feet. Okay? I mean, but the point is, it's a ridiculous request. Okay? Absolutely ridiculous. The next thing I might want you guys to consider would be, just because you prove the water doesn't mean you have to use it. These homes are going to be, I believe, at least $1.8 million to $2.5 million minimum. Okay? So it's, you know, you're going to be $250 a square foot on the homes. That's my gut feeling.
At least.
Yeah, so we understand the numbers are real. The HOAs are going to be $500 to $1,500 a month. Hauling, and that's the other question I have for you. Can you put on a website sooner or later the proposed CCRs or these requirements? Only because you brought them up numerous times that they appear to almost be in place. And because my concern with the CCRs and HOAs is you have 100% control during the building process till the last home is sold. Once that home is sold, it transfers to a committee, okay? And when these guys get together and say, we want to change this, or we're gonna interpret it differently, the land use gets changed. The ability to take care of it changes from your responsible manner to something potentially different.
So the CCNRs don't flow with the land?
Well, they go with the land, but there's no reason, it's an interpretation. I don't want to get into a long discussion on that, to be honest.
I have some answers for
One last question. Is there a reason why you can't say, we've got 30 homes, we're gonna haul 4,000, 6,000 gallons of water per home before we go into the well each month?
you. Explain it all.
Well, there's a number of us that just don't want you to take our groundwater because we're afraid it won't be there. Not saying it's right or wrong, but that's our fear. So
I would like to know where this river is that's feeding that aquifer. Because it's not tapped in, it's not been exposed in the 360 degrees around that well. So although that well is a plentiful well, I'm more concerned about what's the source feeding that well. And as far as the historical records, that water table has dropped, there's no doubt. those records aren't here, and the water guy's not here tonight. But I would be shattering my boots wanting to build 30 homes there, knowing how drastic the water table in Agua Dulce has dropped, and knowing that that shallow, your wells are shallow, but there's no water below that. At least nobody's been able to find water below that. So it's a bathtub, and let's just all hope we get rain to where the bathtub gets filled up, or there probably will not be water for those out there.
Couple questions.
State your name
Gary Hebden, 10511 Area Street,
and your rank.
end of the airport runway. So I'm looking across the airport at your lovely development, which I'm sure will be very nice to look at. The development is going to be bordered on all sides by the airport.
No, just the east side.
Which point, show me which sides are going to be bordered by the airport.
Just the south side.
Okay. So the sides that are not going to be bordered by the airport, who borders it on the extreme? Is north straight up on it?
Yes.
Okay, who borders it on the north side?
White Fox.
Yeah, like right here.
Okay, and who borders it on the east side?
The 260 acres.
Yeah, no, it's still pretty.
Who's that owned by?
To the east?
East is airport.
Yeah, well, I look at the top of the map is north. East of the runways is 260 acres owned by the airport owner. I don't know the exact ownership of that piece of
I
property.
think it's all down here.
The airport's all south.
Yeah, but this is an individual owner there.
There's 70 acres, 100 acres, and 260 acres, if I'm plus or minus. 100 acres is the airport and the land to the south of the development. It's owned by the airport.
So there are some pieces of property that are adjacent to this development that are not owned by the airport, correct?
All the way around.
5 of them.
Okay. So you said you're conforming to all aspects of the CSD, and I imagine you read the county draft dated April 11th that the county board of supervisors approved. That's what you're talking about?
That's our civil engineering.
April 11th
Of 2011.
yeah, but I didn't see anything in there that changed our development standards whatsoever in there. I mean, I read it back then, I haven't read it in the 2 to 3 years.
Did you read section 7 on trails?
I don't know.
It says all projects requiring discretionary approval shall contain public dedicated trail easements in accordance with adopted trails plan of Santa Clarita Valley Area Plan.
Adopted trails plan for the Santa Clara Valley area plan does not show master plan trail by the site.
And it says, any project requiring this 28 net acres or greater and is near existing or planned regional trails or is adjacent to properties with feeder trails shall provide a public dedicated trail easement or easements to accommodate hiking, mountain biking, and equestrian uses. So, according to your reading,
There's no existing dedicated trails that
or
terminate.
planned,
There's no planned trails. in the county
I'm not
somewhere.
sure that's true.
Well, actually,
We've talked to
the
Parks and Rec.
Pacific Crest Trail runs right along on Wilson Canyon Road.
It goes, they're trying to relocate that right now.
Right, but currently it's on Wilson Canyon Road. So I look at it as that's your access in. You need to provide a feeder trail to.
But it's not adjacent to this development and it's not going through the airport. There's no
It's adjacent to the airport property, and that's exactly how this language reads.
But what LA County Parks and Rec requires is if there's a trail in their master plan that shows it going through the property, then we would be required to make a trail dedication.
Not going through the property.
Or if one terminates, I mean, because Mike doesn't have, off-site ability to gain access to connect the trail system, and if it doesn't terminate at the property, or if there's no plan on it going through the property, there's no requirement for him to provide.
That's not what this language says. It doesn't say go through the property. It says adjacent to the property.
Well,
Adjacent is
What do
Because
they-
I think a literal term, in my discussions with the county, is it needs to terminate at his boundary because he does not have the ability to go on it.
So, we need to have a continuing dialogue on how the trail system is gonna be represented in this development, so that we're sure that it's compliant with what we asked for in CSD here. And right now, it's not clear to me that that's accommodated here, okay? So that needs to be shown on plot plan in whatever detail we need to show it.
That's what we need to say in the letter. Basically, that we had discussion, and that, I don't know how elaborate we want to go with, but there is no strong opposition, and there is no strong, hey, we can't wait to get the houses built. But the consensus of the community is such that everything conceptually looks good, we're just concerned about the water situation, number one, and these other items secondarily.